What's up, everybody? How's everyone doing today? Today is, at the time of this recording, is July 23rd. Um, got some stuff to talk about. Um, this is actually going to be a redo of this episode. I recorded, well, I added a few things in between the first take and the last, but this is actually the second version of the show because after I did it, the more I thought about it, I just didn't like the show and how it sounded. And the fact that I was reading a lot of stuff in it, and as I was talking about things, I was learning more about stuff, and I'm just kind of like, I'm not, and so really like confusing, to be honest. But anyway, we'll get into this. Welcome to Brad's Bad Show about games. My name is Brad, and I am not an Olympic athlete. And I imagine most of them probably wish they weren't there at this point because the Olympics were pretty much been a disaster all around on every front. The only reason I even brought up the Olympics is because apparently today, well, I can't say apparently, I actually saw it happen. Uh, the opening ceremony, the musical bit there where all the athletes come in and are introduced was they were accompanied by a hodgepodge of various music from video games, from Dragon Quest. It was actually the first one, which is a controversy in and of itself. But there's also Kingdom Hearts and even Sonic the Hedgehog. Soul Calibur actually made it in, but just like there's so many different stories of the Olympics just being really bad, from the athletes that got banned for like two women got banned for having too high testosterone. Oh, that's suspicious. One lady got banned for smoking weed. Like at this point, it's just I'm not even somebody who's like a fan of weed, to be quite honest. But even I know, like come on, man. Like, what century are you from if you're still like banning people from that, even if you don't like it? Like, get out of here. Like, I would love to know if they have a no alcohol policy. But anyway, that's a whole can of worms for something else. Like, this is a show about video games and stuff. I just was trying to make a funny reference about the not being an Olympian, but yeah, probably wasn't all that funny, to be honest. Anyway, let's talk about the other big news, the other big disaster. Activision has been sued by the state of California for what they were describing as college frat boy. Um, what was the word? A college frat boy environment. Maybe I guess we'll use that word. Um, I only read the like Kotaku article and then a few excerpts from other articles that people had posted on Twitter, like from screenshots, and it's really bad. Like, I don't understand how a company this big, who has like Call of Duty is their biggest game and is one of the biggest game franchises in the world. They make millions and millions and millions of dollars with just Call of Duty. And how they thought they could get away with things like cube crawls and, and dudes coming to work drunk and just playing video games all day long, let alone like the other stuff about like just that in and of itself, without the stuff about the unequal pay or unequal pay, and you know women not being allowed to have promotions, or men getting promotions faster than women, and all kinds of other stuff that happened in the company that's even worse, to be quite honest, in some respects, particularly the business trip story. Um, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I should get into the specifics of that because it is pretty rough. But if you haven't read it, go read it. But like just like the idea, like the fact that these were called cube crawls, and I guess that's the term that uh, the people they interviewed used. So it seems like this was like a regular kind of thing that they did there. Almost, and the way the article I read was written seems to suggest that like this was like a company, like almost like a company event, for lack of a better term. Like this was something that the company was aware was happening. Maybe they even called it that, and they were like, yeah, sure, go get hammered and then just crawl around in the office. Like it's just specifically to harass people. Like, come on. Like, you're not 19-year-olds faking being 21 so you can get drunk. Like, what is this, man? Like, I don't know. For me, it's even worse because, like, I don't like alcohol in general. I've tasted some alcoholic drinks, and some of them I thought tasted fairly good, which I'm fixing to open a drink here, and it is not alcoholic. It's a soda, but excuse me. Like I've said before, like if they brought back Prohibition, it wouldn't really bother me personally, and I know that would make a lot of people mad because a lot of people like to drink, but I just don't care for people who get drunk and like to get drunk. It just, sorry, it's not for me, and I don't understand how anybody could enjoy that. But just the fact that this was happening there and it has been happening for so long, like I just, what else can you say other than this is just like, one, unacceptable, and just two, like, it's just hard. I guess you really can't say it's hard to believe, but I guess you would think, like, I guess when you think of like workplace harassment, you wouldn't necessarily get the image of literally like 18 and 19-year-olds getting drunk and partying like they're at a fraternity, you know, like they're college kids. Like, I guess that's like, I guess it sounds more like your stereotypical kind of idea of harassment, but that's what happened. But I don't know. So hopefully, like, and Activision's not the only company. Like that's the thing. Like, people were bringing up that, I guess something like this. I guess this is basically very similar to what happened at Ubisoft, but I'm not sure what the solution for this will be. Like, does the company shut down from this? Like, I doubt it. Like, I guess the best you can hope for in the situation is that all the heads get, given the boot. But then I guess that would depend on not who gets replaced. I mean, hang on. It would, then you have to think about, like, okay, we got rid of the problems. Who are we going to put in their place? And who has the authority to decide who is worthy of that place? You know what I mean? Because if you kick out a bunch of these problematic people, and then you've got somebody who is problematic still in charge of filling these spaces, and they just replace them with more problematic people, then it just continues. You know what I mean? So hopefully this will, like, result in real change, not just for this company, but for all of them. Because I saw plenty of people going like, "Hey, just assume that every major company is like this," because it probably is on some level. Even if it's not as bad, it's still bad. So if it takes the state of California to sue you to get you to fix yourself, maybe you needed it. But that's all I know to say about that, other than just repeating what everybody else has said. To some more crappiness from people. Fortnite introduced Rainbow Royale in an attempt to celebrate the LGBT plus community. There's a rainbow over the island, or not over the island, but in the background of the island. Now in game in Battle Royale, they dropped a few free cosmetic things, like it was 4 sprays, a weapons wrap, and then a brand new emote that looks like it was inspired by the SpongeBob Imagination GIF. Where he puts sand together. Really funny episode, by the way. Those were given out for free. And I think some LGBT plus content creators got free cosmetics, free skins specifically, where you can apply the weapons wrap to the skin, which is something unique. I think that was the case. From looking around Twitter, that looked that looked to be what they were doing with those. But apparently, when the leakers had started talking about it, people got really homophobic and just terrible to the leakers, and one of them even signed off for the day. But the bigger problem came when apparently one of Epic's content creators, or at least I don't know how they classify people, but somebody who built a map or builds maps for them. I don't know how all that with the creative side of stuff works, outside of people who just play the game online. But somebody who apparently actually builds maps that people can play on, and is, I guess, it has enough of a following that they gave them a support a creator code, was posting and liking some pretty bad stuff. And they banned them for a few hours and then let them come back after they issued an apology, which, from what I understand, is it was a very, very bad apology. And that seemed like a really, really just... See, the situation is that the content creator in question is a 14-year-old, and people were upset that Epic would reverse their ban after just a few hours. Which does make sense, because, if you're going to ban somebody, you need to give them a ban that's you have to give people a ban that actually makes them think, wow, this was really bad for me to do. I've got to, because with a few hours, you could take a nap and come back and play again, or go to sleep for the night, or however long the ban was, and just play again when you wake up. I get that, even Twitch has its ban controversies and all that, but it does seem weird that they would push, we don't accept intolerance here, everyone's welcome here, and then you would you would just reverse a ban of somebody who breaks that rule, just within a few hours. So people are justified in being upset with that. Although I'm not sure exactly how hard do you punish a 14-year-old, because I don't think if this was a grown adult, then no, you can't excuse a grown adult behaving this way, because at the same time though, when you're 14, I look at it this way: you shouldn't hold a 14-year-old to the same standards you would as somebody who's 24. But you also shouldn't hold a 14-year-old to the same standards you would as a 4-year-old either. There's differences between being a little kid and then being a teenager and then being an adult. You gotta have some. You gotta have some responsibility there, especially if you are a content creator with an audience, and you have an audience big enough that Epic will give you a supporter creator code. I mean, I think I found this person's Twitter, and they have they have 1,400 followers, which isn't a lot in the grand scheme, but it's enough. A 14-year-old with over 1,000 followers is you've got an audience, maybe a very small one, but you've still got an audience, and it's a big enough audience that Epic is oh yeah, you can have a supporter creator code, because that means that your audience is of a big enough size that people will probably actually put your name in when they buy content from us. So, to some degree, they think this person will help advertise their game. So you gotta be, you got. I don't think you should be like I don't like a 14-year-old on the internet. Like, some of these people are really like, some of these 14-year-olds think that being like an edgy, like edgy is like, the people, they think that edginess is really funny and cool. But apparently this person's also religious, and I know that depending on this kid's living situation, there may not be much that they can do about that. If you know how certain religious extremists handle their children when you go against the belief system of that particular religion, things can end up very badly. So that may be a situation where the kid is just kind of stuck until the kid can get some freedom. But I don't know, man. Like, that's also assuming things. So I think maybe, just maybe, a better idea would be to not give a 14-year-old supported content. To not the better idea would be to not have like a 14-year-old be like a content creator for your game that people might actually use their name when they spend money. Maybe don't do that. But I don't know. It's largely free cosmetics. Like, Lil Nas X's song, I think somebody else's song now plays in the Battle Royale radio. Like I, as somebody who, when I play and when I'm trying to record, I usually turn the car radios off most of the time. Even when I'm not recording, I tend to cut it off so I can hear like gunshots and stuff, because the songs kind of do obscure your hearing, or not obscure. It makes it harder to hear stuff a little bit. So anyway, like, it just sucks. It sucks that they couldn't do this. They couldn't do this for, the LGBT plus community, and give them just like something just to have, and it not turn into a disaster. Which from what I saw, I'm sure there were lots of people who were like, "Oh, why would you put this in the game?" But and maybe it's because I don't particularly go through like various Discord servers and Twitter fandom spaces. I just, if I see something cross my timeline, then I see it. But I do think that overall, though, it was viewed as a positive thing, so that's good. And again, if you don't want the free cosmetics, then just ignore them. Learn to leave people alone. But anyway, into less serious stuff. Bugha got his own Icon Series skin. Be quite honest, I really don't know anything about this person, but I know that he's apparently popular enough that they gave him this. I think he's like judging from the trophy, I think what his thing is that he was a big solos champion, and that's his dog, I guess, that comes out of the cup. So I don't really have anything else to add to that other than, that's happening. And I guess it's cool. Again, like I've said this before, I just personally, like, I made an exception for LeBron James, and partially because I already had the Neymar Jr. skin that was part of the last season's Battle Pass. So, I didn't get that skin specifically because of that. But, like, I'm not the biggest fan of the in real life skins. I made the exception for LeBron James because they gave him the Looney Tunes outfit, and that was the only version of him I bought. again, like if you're a fan of this guy, get his skin and support him. I'm sure that'll help him specifically, and but you know it'll help him. And that's all I really got to say. Because like I said, these skins of like the streamers, like they're not a product I really want to buy. You know, that's just how I feel about it. One more little Fortnite thing. They added Ferraris to the game. This isn't the Ferrari, but it is the skins that you can get that support that little temporary thing, because apparently it's not going to be in there for a long time. It's only going to be in there for a little while. I might do a video on the Ferraris being added to the game, and do kind of like I did with my crazy taxi video. Just drive around the map and run over people in the Ferrari, and that be the whole video. But I'll have to decide. I'm not sure if I'm interested enough in it to do it, but I would like to have more videos. So I think it could be decent content. Anyway, now one more thing I want to get into. Well, not one more thing. Something different I want to get into is the card game Boss Monster. This isn't new, but a few years back I found this in a mall in like this little store. Had like a bunch of board games and stuff, and it's actually kind of fun. The artwork on the cards is all inspired by old retro 2D sprite character designs. You can see here is like the classic, like the Mega Man character pose. This looks like kind of like Wart from Mario 2. But there's a lot of references to video games in there. A lot of just a cool concept for a game where you play as the boss of the dungeon, but the goal is to build a dungeon that these traveling heroes will not be able to beat you. If you kill a certain number, if your dungeon can take out a certain number of heroes, like I think it's 10. If your whoever's dungeon kills 10 heroes first is the winner. However, if like I think it's like if 5 heroes though survive your dungeon, because they have to travel through each room as you build a room. If 5 heroes manage to survive it, then the boss monster is destroyed and you're out of the game. So it's a really cool little game to have. Like, I wish there was a way I could set up to actually play it and then put it on the channel, but I don't really have a way to do that. Maybe one day I'll be able to do that, because I think that would be a really cool like addition to the channel's just content for the channel. It would be something different. It's not a video game, but it's a card game inspired by video games. So it's really cool. And plus, just having the cards strictly for the 2D pixel inspired artwork, that in of itself is just, fun to have. Even if maybe you don't play the game very often, having the cards is a bit of a treat too. So do look up Boss Monster if you get a chance. A sign of the beginning of the end potentially for the Wii U and the 3DS. Support for credit card purchases will not be possible after the end of the year. So come January, no more credit card purchases. So you should do what I'm going to do and go see what's on these eShops that you really want. Try to buy them or prepare to buy them before January, which, the shop's not shutting down just yet. I figure it will after they hit the 5th anniversary for the Switch. Because, 5 years, I know the Switch isn't going anywhere for a while, but 5 years, I don't see them wanting to just keep supporting the Wii U. If they do, then that's good, but there's also a downside to that, in that if you can still buy like Nintendo 64 games on this console, then you're not going to see the N64 catalog on the Nintendo Switch. And I've been wanting them to do that over and over and over again, and we'll get into the Nintendo Switch Online in a minute. But I just think you got to... you got to be prepared for the shop to shut down at some point. So again, go through, Make sure anything that's worth buying you can buy, especially if it's something that's not already on the Switch, and the off chance that it probably won't be. Like two of the games I really want to make sure that I get before the shop completely shuts down are, or some of them. I'll list a few. Would be the HD versions of Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. I would love to make sure I get the HD versions of those games so that when I eventually do play them on the channel, it will be in HD. Also, I would like to get Mario Tennis, the original one, because I have Mario Golf on the Wii U I have, and I don't have Mario Tennis yet. I would also like to get the no, I do have the original Pokemon Snap. I just haven't played it in a while. But I want to get those games because they are hard to emulate with an N64 emulator, and I've tried to get them to work, and they just don't. So, if the emulations don't work, then this is at least a way to buy these games. Now, I don't know if the N64 games, like, I think they run you about $8 on the Wii U, which I think is too much in my opinion. Drop those down to $5, and that should be fine, I think. Like, yes, they're all old games at this point, but I'd still be willing to pay a little bit for them. So yeah, I definitely want to go look through there and see what all is there that, that maybe emulation doesn't handle very well. For some reason, I found, when I've tried to emulate Mario Tennis and Mario Golf for the 64, like, it doesn't work. As well as Pokemon Snap. I had trouble with that too. But I also have Pokemon Snap and Pokemon Golf. Mario Golf on this Wii U from forever ago, and it will work. It's the official version. Okay, I'll play that. It's fine. I got no problem playing the legit versions of games if the emulation doesn't work, especially if I already own those games. Like, I don't have a physical copy of Mario Golf, but I do have a physical copy of Mario Tennis on the 64. And the physical copy of Pokemon Snap, as well as the downloaded version. So, I mean, there you go. But anyway, yeah, be preparing to lose your credit card purchases. Speaking of Nintendo Switch Online, on the 28th, you're getting 3 games added to the Super Nintendo category or catalog. I've never heard of any of these games, and Jelly Boy, I saw a clip somebody posted, and it looked kind of ridiculous. Like, at this point, they are just scraping the bottom of the barrel. Maybe they've even gone beneath the barrel at this point, because they still don't have Mother 3 or I don't know what is Mother 3 even a Super Nintendo game? I think it is. I know they don't have Mario RPG, but like what? Why even put these up there? Like I think they should. Like I think these should be up there. But if you're not going to give people like a big title to be excited about, then I don't know why you would even like do this. Like, what if you like? What's a game that they haven't added yet? Like if you added these 3 along with Mario RPG, which is something everybody really, really wants, then that would be fine. But just these 3, completely super obscure games, it feels like there's just no, like, here's something, It feels like somebody, like, threw out, it feels like somebody handed you pocket change, like, that doesn't even, like, somebody handed you a nickel and a penny. It's like, here you go, here's you some money to enjoy. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure there are some people who played these games and they'll be like, oh, I'd love to go back and look at this game again. But, it's just, when there are things out there that they probably could get, at least I'm assuming they could get. I mean, Super Mario RPG, I imagine that they could probably just put that up there if they really wanted to, but I don't know. There could be rights issues. But anyway, if you like Jelly Boy and Bomboozle and, what is that, Claymates, I guess. If you're a fan of those, then you'll get to play them. Something else that also got announced: Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel is coming, and it will be, from what I understand, it is free to play, and it is basically just a Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG simulator, in the same sort of way that Pokemon TCG Online is a simulation of the trading card game for Pokemon. Now, this is cool because I don't think they've ever done an official one like this before, at least not on this level. Like, it's always been like the extra gimmick of, or it's not specifically focused on the TCG. Like, most of the Yu-Gi-Oh games, if not all of them before this, were focused on the anime characters, so for the characters from the show. This is just for people who like the TCG and want to play the TCG, but in video game form. And I'll be honest, it looks really cool, but I'm very hesitant to get into it because they play by the master rules, which includes like these pandemonium monsters and synchros monsters. And let me tell you, I don't know how many of you who watch this have ever played a game on Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Nexus, but the last time I tried out Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Nexus, which is a simulator TCG, it's just unofficial. You can build your deck from any set of cards. Like, there's no limits to which cards you can use. You're basically awarded the entire Yu-Gi-Oh! Catalog of cards, and you just build the deck as you see fit. But I played against a computer, and I won the rock paper scissors game for the first turn. So I drew my card. I played I played a monster face down, I think. I think I may have summoned. No, maybe I summoned the monster attack mode. It really doesn't matter. I summoned a monster and then set one like spell card face down just to have something on the field face down. The computer then took their turn, summoned and special summoned and synchro summoned about 8 different monsters, each one with over 3,000 attack points, destroyed my monster I summoned before even launching an attack, and then after their attack turn, and then after 3 separate attacks, I lost the duel. I literally only got to take 1 turn before I lost. That makes the game, to me, feel like it is broken beyond being appealing. Like, what appealed to me about Yu-Gi-Oh! Was the slow burn through your deck where you're building up. Like a long game to prepare. Like, it's a battle. Like, it's more of a war, not just one battle, you know? And it's like, it's so weird to me now that the game basically functions in like, you can go through half your deck on the first turn and summon 4 or 5 monsters and just right off the bat. And that doesn't seem fun to me. I hope that maybe there'll be a way that you can turn the master rules off and just play the old standard game without synchros monsters and everything. I think that would be really a really good idea. A really good idea. So that people who would like to try this out won't be intimidated and scared away by these new rules that basically can end a duel in 1 turn. I mean, literally, like, imagine if you were playing a guy or you were playing anybody, and every single duel you played, somebody drew the 5 Exodia cards on the first turn. Like, that's what playing on Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Nexus feels like to me. If not the first turn, then the second turn. Literally, like a duel that lasts maybe a minute or 2. Like, that just seems like a waste. But I don't know. Like, hopefully that will. At the very least, though, if it is free to play, then that, because I think I've seen that it is, that's at least good. So I should be able to try it out and hopefully learn. I think that it's supposed to come with tutorials, I think. At least I won't have to pay money to check it out. But I hope that they don't make you have to pay to get all the good cards, and it is a play to win type of game. Because this is because a digital trading card game where you just focus on the battles, it's not the same thing as an actual like digital trading card game. At least I hope they don't treat it that way, where you have to collect cards, and in order to get cards, you have to trade with various people or random people. That could make things interesting. Like, what if it was like the Pokemon random trade feature from the last generation, where you just send a Pokemon out randomly, and then you get one back randomly? What if you were taking rare cards? Somebody was out there collecting a bunch of rare cards and just throwing them out there into the random trade. Because then because then you'd also have people in there doing the exact opposite and would be putting in the most common card ever, and that would just be the one that people get the most. Like you get what's one of the weakest cards? Like I know the joke is Karibo was like one of the weakest monsters you could have, even though its ability is good. But imagine you just get imagine if Karibo didn't have that ability. And it was what is it? There are monsters out there with no attack and no defense. I can't remember what. Oh, there was one. I can't remember what it's called. I know there's more than one. I haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh in so long. I just don't remember. But I hope this will be a fun game. I hope I can get into it. If they don't have the old rules, then hopefully I can adapt to the new ones enough that I could, be comfortable playing the game again and to actually understand it. Because I was big into Yu-Gi-Oh back in the day. When Yu-Gi-Oh was on Kids WB, I used to wake up every Saturday morning to watch I would flip between Kids WB and Fox Kids. To try to catch like Sonic X, if I woke up early enough, maybe Tokyo Mew Mew or Mew Mew Power. What was it? One Piece when 4Kids was still in control of that. I think it's the TMNT cartoon back then. What else that was Fox? In Kids WB, they had Static Shock and Batman and Pokemon and Card Captors and Yu-Gi-Oh. And so for me, the big shows of that morning were usually at the time. At that time, I was still following the Pokemon anime. I followed the Pokemon anime all the way up through till I think some point in Hoenn, maybe into the beginning of Sinnoh. But then that's kind of when I just dropped and stopped caring about it. I dropped off of that. It was just I'm just not so sure I want to follow this and spend time watching it every single Saturday. And the same thing happened at some point with Yu-Gi-Oh, where I missed the final arc. The last thing I remember seeing of Yu-Gi-Oh for whatever reason I stopped watching it was the Orichalcos arc with the Great Leviathan. The last thing I remember is the three Egyptian gods. Yugi summoned them in the real world to destroy the Great Leviathan. That's the last thing I remember. Aside of a few random episodes of that last arc or whatever arc it is where they go back to ancient Egypt or something like that. But anyway, that's getting off this. I used to watch Yu-Gi-Oh all the time. I even at one point loved it so much I made my own Yu-Gi-Oh cards, which did not include drawings. It just included names of random monsters that I made up and gave them fake attack and defense points. That's how much I liked Yu-Gi-Oh back then. Fun fact, I also took my Yu-Gi-Oh cards to school one time, and the one time I decided I was going to, a few of my friends were really into it for a hot minute, and I decided to get my best cards together. We're going to play by their rules. I was going to take my cards and duel at break time. I took them one day. Somebody stole my deck, and I never got it back. And I would love to know what exactly happened to it, because only like 3 or 4 people knew I had the cards. Now, it is possible it fell out of my backpack and just nobody found it, and then somebody, like none of them found it. So I don't want to just outright assume that somebody, that one of those 3 people, 3 or 4 people, like stole my cards. But it's stuff like that does happen. I do figure that like it probably fell out, and then somebody came across it later, and they just kept them. Because we had already had an instance where, like before, Pokemon cards had been banned from school. I think I talked about that story, but I won't talk about that now. But anyway, Master Duel looks fun. Hopefully it'll be fun for me. Now to get off on non-game stuff, I just watched Space Jam 2. Or Space Jam: A New Legacy. It's not really officially called Space Jam 2. It's actually really good. As far as like what you would expect from a second Space Jam movie. It lived up to my expectations. Like turn your brain off when you watch it. Like, really do. It's just there to be exactly what it looks like it is. But I think it's good for what it is. And right off the bat, I can tell you that I think LeBron James did a pretty good job in this movie as an actor. They even kind of joked about that, where part of the plot is that the algorithm, or Warner Brothers Studios specifically, wanted to impose LeBron's likeness into various existing properties that WB owns. And I guess, or to make him like a big actor, they wanted to turn him into an actor, something like that. But basically, it included like enhancing him digitally. And he made the comment about how he's like, I'm an athlete. And when athletes try to do movies, it never ends up going well. Of course, that's supposed to be poking fun at Michael Jordan's performance in the original Space Jam. And it's kind of true. Let's not kid ourselves here. Even those of us who did enjoy the old Space Jam back in the day, and I could even still watch it now. It's probably wouldn't enjoy it as much as I used to, but I mean, it's like what people say, the guilty pleasure film. But I actually think LeBron did a pretty good job. Like when he needed to have emotion, he had emotion. The scene where at the very end, spoilers for people, like the scene at the very end or towards the very end of the game where he confronts his son, throws the ball away, and he's just telling him like, I don't know if you know how much you mean to me, son. Like, I love you. And it sounded like he was breaking down. Like, Michael Jordan would never have given you that kind of performance. Like, is this film going to win awards? Like, should LeBron win an acting award? No, I don't think so. But I don't think that this was like a terrible performance. And it was certainly much better than Michael Jordan's. Speaking of Michael Jordan, it's a funny joke about Michael Jordan in the movie. And the minute they brought him up, because they do mention Jordan in the movie, the minute they brought him up, specifically by name, they mentioned him like once or twice in the film before, but not by name. The minute they did it, my brain went back to hearing a quote or seeing a quote that they had said that Michael Jordan was in this movie, just not in the way you expect. And when Sylvester, again, this is spoilers, when Sylvester comes in at halftime and he's like, guys, I don't know if this is a miracle or not, but I actually found Michael Jordan. He's out in the crowd. He'll know what to do. And then they play the classic theme for that the Bulls would run out to, and you see the slow walk of somebody coming up the hallway. And all the characters like, oh my gosh, like it's him. Like I can feel his presence. Like oh, it's so great. And the whole time I'm sitting there going, I know exactly what they're fixing to do. I know what they're doing. I know exactly what's fixing to happen. And I was right. It was not Michael Jordan, the ball player. It was Michael B. Jordan, the actor. It was really good. Like that was a really good fake out, and like I kind of can't help but wonder like if like maybe like kids wouldn't possibly see it coming, but like the minute that Sylvester actually said, you know, I found Michael Jordan, here he is, and then they start hyping him up, I'm like, no, it's not gonna be Michael Jordan, at least not it's not gonna be the Michael Jordan you think it is, and sure enough, there he was, and this movie has some good jokes, so the only real thing, like other than it just being obviously just a big, you know, here's all our properties. Don't you miss some of these? Aren't these cool? Look at how cool our stuff is. You know, other than that, like, uh, not really much to complain about. I think Don Cheadle did a good job. I actually liked the algorithm character, and I liked like some of the things that he was saying, and you know, good villain stuff where he's talking about, oh, these people want to control me, and they want me to do, you know, they won't let me do what I want to do, and then lo and behold, he wants to control everybody. You know, his desire for freedom is to have total control. So gigantic hypocrite, but that's that's what villains do. Um, Down to the point that at the end, like he kept telling, he had told LeBron's son that like sitting there going like, the whole movie he's telling him, oh, you're special, like you got to do you. But then at the end, he's going like, you know what, maybe your dad's right. You're not good enough you're not just not good enough. You're not focused enough on actually doing what needs to be done. You're not helping me. You're not doing what I want you to do. But anyway, do go watch this. The only other thing like I would want to say as far as like of course to bring up everybody's the Lola Bunny controversy again. Like I did not hate this actual performance. Like I still have issues with like how they wouldn't like the actress playing Lola was the only voice actor who or voice talent who got promoted for this film. Even Gabriel Iglesias, who's a very successful comedian, did not get any promotion for this outside of like being interviewed online for it. Like I don't remember seeing his name in the promos and teasers and stuff. But she actually did a good job. The only thing I would say though is that in their toning down of her sexualness, I think they kind of took some personality away from her, to be quite honest. She just seems like, like without it, it just seems like I'm a girl bunny. Like that's it. Like I'm a bunny who's a girl. And like the sexy stuff, at least like to me felt like more of a personality, or at least it was so over the top to being cartoony that it actually does like it is a cartoon thing. But all the other Looney Tunes have an extreme personality, except her. She's more just a regular person, and because of that, she feels less like the original. She's supposed to be the same Lola from the first film, but she feels like a completely different character. She behaves like a completely different character. The only good thing I will say though is I'm glad that like LeBron told her like you got to remember who you really are, like at your core you're a ball player. And so I like that canonically Lola Bunny is the Looney Tune who plays basketball. So that was her big thing in the first film because none of the other Looney Tunes know anything about basketball. She was the only one who could even come close to bringing anything near the same talent that Michael Jordan had to the team. Whereas the rest of them were just there to be goofy. That was their strengths. Their strengths were the jokes and the gags and the over-the-top shenanigans. Lola's was to play ball. So, I do like that is part of like her core like identity, I guess, is that she's a ball player. I think that's a cool thing. I do just think like even though I think that the voice performance was fine. I just think that from Zenaida, is that her? You say her name? Oh, I hate when I start questioning myself over names. Anyway, I always hate. I always worry I'm gonna mispronounce somebody's name. But anyway, I think she did good. I just think that like the decision to rewrite the character without the over the top sexiness, just it feels like she just doesn't have much personality, to be honest. But I also still think like the entire debate over that of her redesign, even though she's 99.9% exactly the same design. Like it was such a silly thing for people to be so upset about on either side. Like, oh, she's too sexual. I'm like, oh, she's not. And then people were like, oh, they've taken everything away from her. I'm like, no, they haven't. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But anyway, overall, though, really, really fun movie. Better than the first one by a lot. Is it a corporate cash grab? Yeah, it is. But these days, what isn't? This is no different than Super Smash Brothers or Kingdom Hearts or Fortnite or any crossover thing that you see in games, TV, whatever it is. These things will always be popular. I mean, I even like somebody was complaining about it on Twitter, and I just posted an image of the new Scooby-Doo movies where Scooby-Doo met Batman and Robin. This has been happening forever. It's not new. Certainly not new for Warner Brothers. But anyway, last thing I'm going to talk about today is the new chapter of Dragon Ball Super, the manga, chapter 74, which is largely Vegeta versus Granola, summed up really, really quick because this is going longer than I thought it would. All you really need to know about this is that Granola beat Goku. He is now fighting Vegeta, but Vegeta is having a better time handling him than Goku did. And we see Vegeta very much so enjoying his fight with Granola in a way that we haven't seen in a long time, where he's like, because Vegeta has realized Granola is not a villain, that Granola is not out to destroy, even if Granola is the strongest warrior in the universe, he's not out to destroy civilizations and ruin planets and kill people. He just wants to fight the Saiyans and Frieza. So Vegeta is actually very excited about this fight. He's like, I'm not having to fight to worry about, I'm getting to fight without having to worry about, what happens to this planet after if I lose. I don't have to worry about people losing their lives if I lose this fight. I can just fight and have fun with it. It's a fight to the death, but it's a fight without any grander stakes than whoever loses is gonna be the loser ultimately. The loser might die, but that's the end of the consequences of the fight. And so he's like, I like this. I haven't got to do this in a long, long time. So he's actually very happy. And although Granola does beat the crap out of him and he's even bleeding from the mouth, he's like, oh, this is good. I love this. He's like, this is the perfect scenario for a Saiyan like me who thirsts for battle. And then you see him turn into this god of destruction form. That personally, I'm not a fan of the lack of eyebrows, because I think that's already something another form has. And I guess the point they're trying to go is to make him look more primal, based on like the whole thing that they're going back to the Saiyan heritage and Saiyan roots and given like the great Ozaru ape, where I think they wanted to make him look intimidating and more primal as he's about to invoke power that is meant to just destroy. And that is his entire focus and concentration on right now is pure destruction. Like as a Saiyan. Now, I think there's going to be some shenanigans pulled to, there's that word again, shenanigans. It's a fun word. I don't think that Vegeta is going to kill Granola, although I do think that at this point he probably is stronger than both Goku and Granola. I think that he's going to possibly spare him, or the heaters will get involved somehow, because the heaters are supposed to be, the other two heaters are supposed to be on their way to the planet. Or if Granola is still stronger than Vegeta, then they will have some kind of stalemate where Granola has to acknowledge that even though he is stronger than Vegeta physically, he cannot defeat Vegeta. Like if Vegeta just spams Hakai, then no matter what Granola does, he can't get near him, or else he'll be erased from existence. So how does he win? So how this fight plays out and how these new powers for Vegeta actually work will be very interesting. And I'm curious to see where the story's going to go from here. We still haven't seen Frieza yet. He's got to make an appearance. So I'm curious. I'm still wondering if Broly's going to show up, because like the last we had heard, Broly was stronger, or was Broly was at least by himself rivaling Gogeta's power. So theoretically, Gogeta should be much, much stronger than Vegeta and Goku separated. So where is Broly in all this? Should he not be the strongest warrior in the universe right now? If not up there? I don't know. Like, there's a lot of stuff just hanging out there that you can theorize on. And we're actually moments away from some sort of news about this new Dragon Ball Super film, which is where I'm fixing to leave this show off on. And hopefully we'll get a cool trailer here momentarily. I'll talk about it on the next episode here of this show. But hope you enjoyed listening to me talk. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. Go watch all my other stuff. I got stuff coming. Some different games. You know, try it out. Pokemon Unite. Try it out. We're still doing Legend of Legaia still. Trying to get some new Pokemon Snap uploaded, and I played a little bit of that. And at some point, I do want to start a Breath of the Wild run before the sequel comes out. But anyway, thank you guys for those of you who do stick around and do watch my stuff. I really appreciate it. You know, if you would, do leave some comments on the stuff that you actually like, so that I'll know what you like. You know, it's hard to really gauge what people want to see based on just the views alone, because sometimes like a video will get more views and then I post something very similar to that, or the second part of something, and then that doesn't get any. So I understand that views sometimes are just random. Sometimes videos take off, sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's purely the luck of the draw. But anyway, either way, thanks to those of you who do watch and do stick around for my videos, and I appreciate that. And hopefully you'll stick around for a while. So until next time, we'll see you later.